County Board of Commissioners to order on this President's Day of Monday, February 16th, 2026. If you would be so kind to stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, Lord, just with thanksgiving in our hearts, Lord. Thank you for the way you blessed Lee County, Lord, in such tremendous ways. By the show of people here tonight, Lord, it shows how this Lee County is blessed in so many ways, and we thank you for that. Lord, as we conduct the business tonight as elected officials, Lord, would you give us the knowledge and the wisdom, Lord, first of all, that will be by your word and your ways, Lord, and then for the people next, Father. We do love and praise and give you glory. Have your way in this meeting tonight. We ask in Jesus' name, amen.
You have your agenda in front of you. We do need to add a few items. We're going to add 2 closed sessions for the board following the meeting. Also under old business, item 5, we're going to move old business to item number 5, followed by public comments, item number 6. And then when you get to 3A under our recognitions, we're going to add the first recognition as item 3A will be foreign exchange students. Item 3B will be proclamation recognition of Black History Month. Item 3C is resolution to honor a Revolutionary War soldier and all veterans, and then item 3D will be the recognition of a service presentation. Anything else to add? Do I have a motion to approve the additional items to the agenda?
So moved.
And we have a motion to approve the additional items to the agenda this evening. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda? It's quite lengthy because we brought up what we missed on the winter weather day. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion approved.
Have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, under the item 3, recognitions. We are very fortunate to have 2 individuals who are visiting our country as foreign exchange students, and if Mr. Ron Coley would come forward, sir.
Hello. Yeah, the good news is no complaints or issues bringing forward today, but just good news about our county and what we do, because I work with Borderless Friends Forever, which is the student exchange student program. And we, at this point, have 9 students actually placed in Lee County. We have 7 at Lee County High School and 2 in Southern Lee. I think there's a couple more that may be at Southern from another organization. But I love our county because some of the counties can be a little bit difficult to work with. And within our organization, Lee County has a reputation for being one of the most flexible and welcoming to our kids, which is great because I think they bring so much to the community by being here. So at this time, we are also looking for host families for the next school year, which is a big thing that I've done. These 2 that are here today also actually live with me. They are my 12th and 13th exchange students. And it's just an incredible thing to have family all over the world. So if anybody is interested in becoming a host family for next year, we would love to have you contact us. You can contact me at rcoley@borderlessfriends.org for that. But then I'm going to turn it over to them and let them talk to you about what their experience is like here.
Hello, my name is Konstantin Endl. I'm an exchange student from Germany, and I come here today because I wanted to talk about how great the Lee County has been to us as exchange students. The experience for most of us is very different. You can go to any sort of place wherever you want to go, but it is limited. For example, I could choose where I want to go, but I chose not to because I wanted to have a true experience of America. And I ended up in Lee County, Sanford. This has been such a pleasure for me. Like, the things that maybe seem for you as everyday business are for me so exciting. Going to a new restaurant I've never been at. All of those fast food places I have never been at. Especially one of the things that has fascinated me is the school system. It is a great idea that you have the opportunity to pick the classes you want to. In Germany, I am forced to take the classes that are on the list, and they are not repeated every day, but we have a weekly schedule. Another thing I would like to say is that the chance that you give us by coming here has opened my mind and has made me thought about coming back to the United States. I, later on in my life, want to come back to the United States, study here, and maybe also enlist in the military. I am not sure about that, although I consider it.
My name is Oleg Kopylov, and I'm an exchange student that come here from Ukraine. And first of all, as a part of my speech, I want to thank you for inviting us tonight here and for providing us opportunity to be here. So I came to the United States as the participant of FLEX program. It's a Future Leadership Exchange program, which is financed by United States government. The main goal of my program is to, at first, do a exchange between our cultures, build understanding, and create the bondings between our nations. And so I arrived here in August, and so far I've been in America for 5 months, and during this period of life, I never had the day when I was or unsatisfied or I am happy. Every day that I spent in America bring me enormous amount of excitement, and I truly believe I feel myself even when I leave my country, I didn't leave my country, I fall asleep, and all my exchange year in America is just a big dream, because honestly visit this country was my childhood dream, and America make my dream come true. And I hope it will stay this way. I wanna, the part that I'm wanted to point it out that the hospitality of American people. For example, I am from Ukraine, and our nation is known for the way how we treat people for our hospitality. And so when I'm traveling around the world, I'm paying really close attention to how we're treated as a foreigners. And I wanted to admit that in America we treated really well. And I remember my first day of school when I came, and from my day of school, I was surrounded by friends, and they meet me with curiosity. Every day they ask me question, and we sit down and compare how we're doing stuff back at home and what I see here. And they were really surprised, and especially when I'm sharing my opinion and my impressment about things that I see here. I'm kind of, for my friends, turned the world turned by 360 degrees, because as Konstantin already mentioned, that Americans get used, you guys literally were born with all the things, but for us they're new. And as a representative of my country today, first thing, from the name, on the behalf of all exchange students in Sanford, I wanted to say thank you for United States for having us here, for inviting, especially as a participant of a program which financed by United States government, I really want to say thank you for providing us this opportunity, especially, and for that you did not stop the program of flags in my country, especially because now we have war and it's kind of hard to make an exchange, but we're still working on it, and like we did not give up. And as a representative of my country, I want to say thank you to all people of the United States and United States government for standing with my country and sending all different types of support, financial, military, and political. I want to say that from the beginning of the war, I remember how we really strongly oppose a really big army of Russia, and we're still continue to oppose, and we're doing a really good job. But in life, it's like in a life, when you're dealing with troubles, it's always good to have a really nice friend and to have a shoulder of this friend on which you can lean and have hope. And I thank you, United States, for being this friend. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. No, you're not done. Hold on. Excuse me. We have questions. Questions for Oleg and Konstantin. Start with you, Commissioner Sharp.
I've already met them and talked to them before the meeting started. So.
Okay. Commissioner Reeves.
Welcome. Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck.
But it's very nice meeting you guys, and I apologize for not getting to hear everything you guys got to say, but I don't know how much longer are you here?
4 more months,
Oh.
roundabout.
Okay, so you'll actually get to see some nice spring, summer weather too
Yes.
before. Yeah. Okay. Well, glad to have you here. And if there's anything that we can do while you're here, let us know.
Commissioner Connect.
Pleasure meeting you. Enjoy your stay. Welcome.
Commissioner Lovick.
Glad to have you guys and hope you enjoy the area. I know you want to probably live here later because it is such a fine place to be. But so stuff we probably take for granted as Americans. I noticed you said some of the fast food restaurants. So what have you tried that you really like? We just take for granted.
I personally really love Bojangles. I have never had a biscuit before in my life till I came to this place. I love them.
What about you?
I really like Popeye's restaurant. Fried Louisiana chicken is like the best what happened in my life with me.
Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Martin.
That's great. No, thanks for coming in and sharing that. It's great to hear, and I'm glad you're here for a while longer. Hope you try lots of things and travel around. There's so many different things to see. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
2 questions I have. Konstantin,
Yes,
you know we have a Lidl and an Aldi's.
yes.
And Oleg, how is your family doing?
My city, I'm living in a small city in the north of Ukraine, and north of Ukraine, and my city is located really close to the border with Russia and the other country, Belarus, which support Russia. So I have 30 kilometers, 25 miles to the border of Russia, and we have ongoing war actions in the 2022 when the war just started, because through our cities, through my region, the tanks went to the capital. But when we take out Russian forces in April of 2022, since this moment, my region is continuing to be under attack. Every night we have air alert. We can hear the sound of engine of drones in the sky. But thanks to the God, my city, the Russian attack did not affect my city since September of 2025, because I think it was really not nice moment, but really fortunate moment for me to come here, because I arrived here in August, and in September they started directly to attack my region, because even though my city is small, we have a big railway station, which is really important for military transportation and stuff. So yeah, but I'm praying every day for my family, and trying to stay with them in touch, and so so far what I know, they're doing okay. Even because in winter Russia have like a tactic, like some kind of tradition. Every winter they targeting our electricity system. So we have like literally big and long time electricity outages. But
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Welcome.
A quick comment that I know sometimes I, at home, forget to turn off lights and like everybody else does. And I wondered at one point why Oleg was constantly saying, you left your light on, you left this light on. Until one night he was telling me that because as he was saying the attack on the electrical, that his mom, he would be talking to her often and they're having to sit for long periods of time in the dark. And I thought, yeah, I am taking way too much for granted in not turning the lights off and conserving my power. And then it was like I understood a little bit more of what he was talking about.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we have some special recognitions. First one will be the proclamation recognizing Black History Month. This is delayed due to the fact we had a snow day. So this proclamation recognizing Black History Month, whereas each February we celebrate Black History Month in order to recognize the contributions of African Americans who developed the legacy of our local, state, and national governments, as well as our communities. And whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, celebrating the birthday of leading abolitionist Frederick Douglass. And whereas North Carolina cooperated in the early celebration through the state's Department of Education, and in 1976, President Gerald Ford recognized Black History Month as a national celebration in conjunction with the nation's bicentennial. And whereas Lee County celebrates the contributions of our early trailblazers, such as A.L. Link Boykin, noted leader and building contractor, and William B. Wicker, noted educator and community leader, to name a few. And whereas Lee County cherishes the fact that our state's leadership includes former Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and House Democratic leader Robert T. Reeves II. And whereas our community recognizes the leadership of Sanford City Council members Mark Akinosho, Byron Buckles, Walter Ferguson, and Chris Petty, as well as those before them. We also recognize Lee County Board of Education members Carla Hooker and Mark Mason, and all who came before them. The county includes the former Vice Chair Ricky Frazier and current board members Robert Reeves Sr., not to forget the number of unnamed city and county employees who contribute their services to this community each and every day. Whereas Lee County recognizes the too numerous to name members of our county who contribute immensely to our economic, cultural, and spiritual development. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our community's attention to the continued need to champion equality and to build a society that lives up to our nation's ideals. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Lee County Board of Commissioners proclaim February 2026 as Black History Month in Lee County, North Carolina, and encourage its observance upon all citizens technically presented this 16th day of February 2026, but we intended to do it earlier. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve this proclamation? We have a motion to approve the proclamation recognizing Black History Month. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda, if I could please have a representative from the Daughters of the American Revolution here, please. This resolution is to honor a Revolutionary War soldier and all veterans. Whereas the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution was founded in 1890 to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism across the United States. And whereas the private John Grady chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution was established in 1951 in Lee County to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism both locally and nationally. And whereas the Lee County Board of Commissioners value and desire to promote historic preservation, education, and patriotism within Lee County and nationally, and to honor all veterans. And whereas Lee County has a known Revolutionary War soldier, Private Jacob Gaster, son of Jacob and Nancy Gaster, who is buried in the Lee County Courthouse. Buried at the Lee County Courthouse. And whereas the private John Grady chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution desires to honor Private Jacob Gaster and all veterans during an American 250th event by placing a marker at Private Gaster's grave with funds raised by the chapter. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lee County Board of Commissioners approves the request to honor Private Jacob Gaster through the placing of a plaque on his gravesite at the Lee County Courthouse to honor the service and sacrifice of Private Gaster and all veterans, both local and statewide. And be it further resolved that the Lee County Board of Commissioners encourages its citizens in a patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring those whose great sacrifice have helped preserve our freedom. Presented this 16th day of February 2026. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution to honor Revolutionary War soldier and all veterans?
So moved.
Motion has been made. Any further discussion? Seeing none, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're going to take a picture at the end of all of this, so before you forward, we're going to get all the commissioners up front. We have a special presentation, and if I could ask all the members of Adcock Associates to come forward, please, past and present. This is very nice. You would not believe the number of times the weather disrupted the presentation of the certificate. So here we are, finally. This is a certificate of achievement adopted the 16th day of February 2026 to Adcock Real Estate Services. The Lee County Board of Commissioners hereby presents this certificate of achievement in acknowledgement of the 50 years of service Adcock Real Estate Services has provided to the Lee County community. Signed by myself and attested by Haley Hall, clerk to the board. Thank you. What we normally do is we take pictures, but we had our foreign exchange students, so if we can get the county commissioners to come up front. We'll get the foreign exchange students, then we'll get the Daughters of the American Revolution, and then we'll present the Adcock Associates. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for the UDO Flood Hazard Area Regulations Update Text Amendment and Floodplain Map Update.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, please. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I've placed a paper copy of that presentation at your seats. This evening, we'll discuss replacing Article 13 Flood Hazard Area Regulations of the UDO with the latest model flood damage prevention ordinance provided by the North Carolina Floodplain Mapping Program, and also updating the FEMA National Flood Insurance Program map for Lee County per the latest map panels provided by the North Carolina Floodplain Mapping Program. These matters go hand in hand and will be discussed together, but will require two separate recommendations by the Planning Board and two separate votes by the County Commissioners. Staff is proposing to replace Article 13 Flood Hazard Area Regulations of the UDO with the latest model flood damage prevention ordinance provided by the North Carolina Floodplain Mapping Program to ensure that all Lee County citizens who would like to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program are able to do so. This information was reviewed by the Director of Lee County Office of Emergency Management, the Director Matt Britt, and he was supportive of adopting the new model ordinance. It should be noted that there are no additional structures being mapped within the 100-year floodplain on the new FEMA maps for Lee County. Let me reiterate, the new FEMA maps for Lee County are not showing any additional structures being placed or mapped within the 100-year floodplain, only what we have currently. Floodplain regulations are routinely updated per a model ordinance provided by the North Carolina Department of Crime Control and Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management, Floodplain Management Branch. Several objectives of this ordinance are to protect human life, safety, and health, minimize expenditure of public money for costly flood control projects, and minimize the need for rescue and relief efforts associated with flooding and generally undertaken at the expense of the general public. The language within the proposed model ordinance, which was provided for your reference, is generally the same as in our current ordinance, which was also a model ordinance, with more clarification and detail provided. The most noteworthy changes are as follows. The required elevation of the first finished floor of a house, which is the regulatory flood protection elevation, in Lee County will increase from 0 feet above the base flood elevation to either 4 feet above the base flood elevation, which is what FEMA recommends you adopt, or 2 feet above the base flood elevation, which is the minimum that they would like for you to adopt. Currently in Lee County, you can build your house at the level of the 100-year floodplain. Once again, FEMA would like for you to at least elevate that to 2 feet above the level of the 100-year flood, and they really suggest that you go 4 feet above that level. Accessory structures, such as a detached garage or a workshop out back, that are less than 150 square feet or less than $3,000 are exempt from the elevation flood proofing certification requirements. Previously, there was an exemption regarding size, but not a exemption regarding the cost of construction. So adding this minimal investment option is more citizen-friendly, even though it will probably not be applicable in many situations because the price of building materials, little building out back, is probably always going to be a little more than $3,000. But that does allow an option for someone to be exempt. Also, floodplain development applications must include a plot plan drawn to scale that includes specific details. And the model ordinance proposes that the plot plan include specific details and be certified by a registered land surveyor or professional engineer. Staff recommends to include this language to ensure accuracy, to ensure compliance with the local floodplain regulations, and to protect the current and future property owners from inaccurate or incorrect information being provided to staff for review and approval. So right now, a site plan must be turned in for review. We review it. If it's reasonably accurate, we move forward. What is suggested in the model ordinance and what we are suggesting you do also is ensure that that's certified by a registered surveyor or professional engineer. Typically, it'll be a surveyor just to verify the accuracy, and that's to protect the current property owners and the future property owners, because we retain all of this information in-house. So if you buy a house in the floodplain in the future, you can reach out to us and get the elevation certificate or additional information. Moving forward with the public hearing for the flood hazard area regulations update and the planning board recommendation at this time will allow staff to move forward with the ordinance with the language agreed to by the boards. Once the language is agreed to by the boards, I as staff will refer that to our National Flood Insurance Program planner for review and approval. Then that planner will forward it to FEMA for review and approval, and then they'll send it back to us. And if everything is A-OK, we can simply pop in the date and adopt the ordinance. So I will give you the feedback from those reviews before we actually make a decision and adopt an ordinance, but I need to know what language is agreed to by the board so that I can send that to them for review. And once again, once these approvals are secured, the governing boards for all 3 jurisdictions take the input provided into consideration and adopt the ordinance officially updating our flood hazard area regulations. All right, now we'll talk about the FEMA National Flood Insurance Program map update. Staff is also proposing to update the FEMA National Flood Insurance Program map for Lee County as per the latest map panels provided by the North Carolina Floodplain Mapping Program to ensure that everyone in Lee County, and that's Lee County citizens, surveyors, engineers, insurance agents, etc., has access to the most up-to-date floodplain mapping information. Each time the North Carolina Flood Mapping Program provides a community with a new and revised flood hazard map and study, the data must be adopted or the community will be at risk of being suspended from the National Flood Insurance Program, which means, among other things, that property owners will not be able to purchase new National Flood Insurance Program flood insurance policies, existing policies will not be renewed, and no federal grants or loans for development in flood hazard areas may be approved. At this time, we're proposing to update the FEMA National Flood Insurance Rate Map Program, Flood Insurance Program map for Lee County with the latest map panels provided by the North Carolina Flood Mapping Program. This map includes a total of 74 panels, 22 of which are proposed to be updated. There we go. Illustrated on the screen behind you and in the packet in front of you, the 22 panels highlighted in orange are the ones that are proposed to be updated at this time. The maps are in digital format and are available for viewing and downloading on the North Carolina Flood Risk Information System website. And that's a website that everyone, just citizens who are curious, surveyors, floodplain administrators, engineers, can access this website. Additional information regarding areas of flood mapping and resources is also found on the NC Floodplain Mapping Program website and on the Flood Inundation Mapping and Alert Network website. So there are several resources out there available for flooding. When I first started, you had to grab the plans and find the place on the map, and people had to come to the office and look, but now all this information is available in digital format and is out there for everyone to look at. We'll continue going through the presentation, and I'll show you some examples. The effective map is the one that's currently in place. The preliminary map is the one that we're proposing to adopt. This is a location most people are familiar with. The REJ means Raleigh Executive Jetport off of Rod Sullivan Road. And if you'll notice, the cross sections are a little bit different. They've been revised up in the upper right corner where you see the arrow. That's the type of thing that I, as the floodplain administrator, would look at to get information when development is proposed in this area. This is Carolina Trace, Lake Trace. There's an effective panel on the left, a preliminary panel on the right. Once again, the cross sections have been revised because this area has been studied a little bit more, and there's more information to provide surveyors and floodplain administrators with the data they need to review and approve projects in this area. This is the Parkview area, the Kiwanis Family Park area. That comes to mind a lot. I get a lot of inquiries whenever it rains and that area floods, but it's typically good to have parks in the floodplain because you don't have permanent structures where people are actually living. It's open space that people can enjoy when the weather's good. So we have an effective map on the left, a preliminary map on the right, and you can see that the streams were actually studied more in this area, and the floodway was remapped. The floodway is basically the creek portion of the floodway where the high velocity of floodwaters go, and you can see that it has been studied and it is mapped to actually be a little bit narrower than it was. This is the North Carolina Flood Risk Information System website. I visit this website almost every day. It's very easy to use. You can put in your address and start searching. You can put in a particular location. It'll take you right to it. There's layers with all types of information. You can switch back and forth between the effective and the preliminary panels to see what's changing. Once again, you can scroll down. There's tables, reports, all kinds of things. You can get into the math and the science of the floodplain and the floodway as you dig a little deeper. And this helps people who are designing projects on the property. Once again, we have floodway data where that's available. And we even have tables there. It's going to show you, one more slide I think will help us. There you go. It'll show you the cross sections that I indicated earlier. They're actually distances measured from the center line of the stream, looking downstream, that will tell you the width of non-encroachment areas and floodways. And this is very interesting for surveyors and engineers and people who are developing on the property. So there's all this information out there at your fingertips. We just need to ensure that we're adopting the latest information. So not only is it easy to get to, but everyone has the most accurate information available. And that concludes my presentation. Does anyone have any questions about updating the UDO flood hazard area regulations or adopting the new FEMA floodplain maps at this time?
Thank you, Amy. Commissioner, questions for Amy? Commissioner Martin?
No, Amy, but I am really glad that it is you doing this and not me. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Commissioner Levick?
So
acknowledge that the zoning map amendment is not consistent with the planned Sand Lee Long Range Plan and still vote to approve the rezoning request. Are there any questions?
Questions for Amy? Commissioner Sharp?
No questions.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
No, sir.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Levick?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to, first off, a statement of consistency with the Plan San Lee as it relates to this zoning map amendment?
I'll make a motion that the board approves the proposed zoning map amendment from highway commercial to residential single family, R20, because it is reasonable and in the public interest given the rural location and existing residential development in the area.
We have to approve the first one.
Oh, that was vote number 2. See, I was trying to do so good. Okay. I like the way that the planning board made the motion that it is and is not consistent with the, what did they say?
Would you like for me to read that again?
I would.
The motion? All right. In making this recommendation, the board determined the request is both inconsistent and consistent with the Plan San Lee land use place type designation of Crossroads. It's consistent because single-family detached dwellings are listed as an acceptable land use, and this location preserves the agricultural heritage of the area since it is not farmland. It is inconsistent in that the 20,000 square foot minimum lot size allowed in the R20 zoning exceeds the recommended development density of 1 acre lots as recommended for land designated as Crossroads.
May I use that as
Yeah.
my unique motion?
Yes, ma'am.
That's both inconsistent and consistent. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion number 2.
And then I make the motion for number 1, that the Board of Commissioners approve the proposed zoning map amendment from HC to R20 because it's reasonable and in the public interest given the rural location and existing residential development in the area.
You've heard the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We will now excuse Amy and the planning board. We do wish to thank you very much for what you're doing for the county. We do ask that you drive home safely, wear your seatbelts, and no speeding. Next item on the agenda is public comments. And the first public comment I have is from Brandon Hillis. He sent an email. He is out of the country. I, Brandon Hillis, at 3009 Reyna Lane, wish to voice opposition for an exclusive franchise for emergency and non-emergency medical services to MedEx Transport Services Incorporated. This objection is based on 2 facts. 1, Lee County Organized Ambulance Advisory Committee recommended continuing services with First Health because of their 911 experience, EMS presence in surrounding counties, and investment in Lee County. 2, MedEx failed to provide specific financial information to the Ambulance Advisory Committee in a timely manner, demonstrating a concerning lack of commitment to the county's processes. I recognize that First Health has increased the cost to the continual operation in the county, raising legitimate concerns from the county commissioners, but I believe that First Health increased cost is worth the investment at this time because of their documented experience running emergency services in addition to non-emergency medical services where, in contrast, MedEx has demonstrated a focus on non-emergency medical services over medical emergency services. MedEx's lack of documented experience in operating emergency services increases the risk of untrained and inexperienced emergency medical personnel, resulting in more dangerous situations to members of our county. I ask the county commissioners to vote against the option and either 1, extend the current contract to allow more time to develop a better agreement with First Health, allow MedX to demonstrate an ability to run emergency medical services, or 2, enter the higher cost agreement with First Health. Thank you for your service to Lee County. Next individual is Laura Block.
Excuse me, who's the one you read from?
I'm sorry.
The name of the individual.
Oh, the name is Brandon Hillis, 3009 Reyna Lane. That's off of Amos Bridges Road. Next individual, public comment, Lara Block.
Good evening, Laura Block, 1147 Cumnock Road. I'm here before you guys again today to request that we instate a moratorium on data centers and crypto mining in Lee County. Our neighboring county, Chatham County, recently signed a moratorium for 12 months banning crypto mining and data centers on their territory. Since moving to Lee County in December of 2024, I have been an evangelist for Sanford and the surrounding areas among my friends, colleagues, and family. I tell them how great I think the area is. I'd like to keep it that way. I would not like Sanford and the area to be mentioned along the lines of Flint, Michigan, and Camp Dijon with their environmental water issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy Nixon.
Randy Nixon, 1147 Cumnock Road. I don't think our forefathers would have approved of that 3-minute timer. Anyway, I asked the Lord to help me find the right words to say tonight, but I'm going to try and keep it short. How is it this board was able to introduce and vote on the Dream Center in a single night, yet we've been coming in droves now for months asking for this drilling and data moratorium, and it hasn't even been put up for a vote? We pay our taxes, so where's our representation? We've been talking about this drilling and these data centers ad nauseum. The effects are devastating and real. We don't want these next to our homes, and we're not happy about it. We're not being dramatic. The science is all there, and we are not interested in being slowly killed. There are limits to what a business can do to generate a profit on their land. You find those limits when you start affecting the health and well-being of your neighbors. I know many of you are parents, some of you grandparents, so I ask you, with what you've learned over the past couple months, would you want your grandbabies living on the east side of this county if it meant they spent their childhood sandwiched between an oil well and a data center? I sure wouldn't wish that for them. Chatham County passed a moratorium on drilling and data centers. Lee County passed a moratorium in 2017 and 2019. So what is the problem now? It's extremely concerning. Above the tax dollars, above every other factor, I refuse to believe that any of you want to jeopardize the health and well-being of our most precious asset, our children. Please, prove to us that you really believe that. Deep River Data is working full-time to get set up here. I am begging you to put this moratorium to a vote tonight. Let's join Chatham County in protecting our most basic resources. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, sir. Keely Purge. Keely Purge.
Keely Porch, 363 Angel Road. On February 3rd, North Carolina Gas and Oil Commission again met, and it was confirmed that the state's geologist that they expect an application from Deep River Data to drill power in an AI data center. With all the bait and switch going on with crypto mining, it might have another LLC on the permit before DEQ even receives it. It doesn't change the fact that data centers and crypto mining uses a lot of water. I hope you all were told the Central Pines report that was published on January 8th issues on data centers. And the first item on the report tells local governments, be proactive. Many residents have asked publicly for an agenda item so Southern Environmental Law Center can make a presentation on the necessity, scope, and planning implementing a moratorium. Other counties, Madison, Gates, Clay, the town of Canton, and last week Chatham County have hit the pause button and have moratoriums in place. I have sent a copy of the Gates County moratorium to all of you. I've also sent you a copy of the Chatham County's planner, Hunter Glenn's PowerPoint. Many residents have a written request through the Lee County government portal to put an agenda item on about moratoriums. I have received a few colorful denial responses from Mr. Smith, accusing environmental groups of taking dark money from the Chinese and that my time would be better spent picking up trash. I can't imagine all the commissioners would write a response like that to a Lee County resident trying to be a good steward of our land and our water and our air. So in interest of transparency and democracy, many residents would want to see a vote in public on this request. Once again, prior planning prevents problems.
Thank you. Jennifer DeVito. Jennifer DeVito.
Hello, I'm Jennifer DeVito, 1014 Northview Drive. So this is my third time coming to this meeting and expressing my concerns, and as well as listening to the concerns of my neighbors. I'm a little worried that after presenting our pleas and all the issues with data centers and crypto mining and fracking, that a moratorium hasn't been put in place yet. And I'm also curious why the chair has rejected previous requests for an agenda on this topic and was individually polled county commissioners on this. And then in the interest of transparency, we would like to see this vote in public. And I'm asking you all, as elected officials, to do the right thing for the people that elected you and to protect the citizens of this county and put a moratorium in place for the fracking, data centers, and crypto mining. Thank you.
Gene Phelps.
Hello, my name is Gene Phelps, 2001 Sutphin Drive, Sanford. I am also asking for the commission to adopt a temporary moratorium on data center development and approvals in Lee County, along with fracking and or drilling on Butler Well number 3. I myself am a software engineer and know many people personally who work at data centers across the country. And for the most part, none of them actually live in the communities where these data centers exist. The highest paid employees at these data centers, the people who make the money from them, don't live in the community where they are. And that bothers me, especially with the environmental concerns that data centers bring to the communities. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the poor investment that data centers are for the communities that they are in. Like I said, they do not bring lots of jobs for the amount of space that they take. The space could be used for many, many better things, especially considering Lee County and Sanford's location to RTP. The tech hubs and data centers are not the same thing. Building data centers in your communities are going to drive away talent like myself who will move from Lee County if you do this. I can promise you, I will move. You will not get the talent that you think you will. People will leave. Your community will get damaged. Your environment will get damaged. And you will only have yourselves to blame for not having done anything about it beforehand. I can promise you that. I am not asking for a delay for delay's sake. I'm asking for a lawful pause in any new data center development to protect Lee County residents and taxpayers from long-term land use decisions that could lock in major costs with limited local return. If I can also ask any one of you to put a motion to add an agenda item to our next county commission meeting for a presentation from the Southern Environmental Law Center on our county's options for regulating data centers and crypto mining. In the interest of transparency, we would also like that vote to be made public. The people of Lee County want to work with the commission on a temporary pause. We want to understand what this data center could do for us, and I hope that you would also like to do the same. We shouldn't rush into anything or allow companies to rush into any decision that could have major impacts for our future. Thank you for your time.
Donna Strickland.
Donna Strickland, 1708 Woodridge Drive. I was told recently by a politician when explaining policy to his or her constituents to break it down as if you're talking to a 5-year-old. As a school teacher, this goes against my teaching philosophy, but here goes. The topic for today is we do not want a data center, fracking, or crypto center here in our county. The word for today is ignorance. The definition is lacking knowledge or awareness. Again, that's very important. To be ignorant is to lack knowledge or awareness. The phrase for today, the way to control the masses is to keep them ignorant. The question of today, why has the Lee County Board of Commissioners repeatedly denied environmental organizations and agencies the opportunity to be placed on the agenda so that they can inform the masses what the negativity is of fracking and the data center on our community? The in accumulation to this information, no agenda representation or presentation equals no in-depth information to the negative impact of fracking on the data center or our county and our state, which equals ignorance of the masses, which equals control is established. This is why we are fighting so hard. This is an aerial photograph of the Deep River meeting the Hall River, and where they meet is where the Cape Fear River begins. And the Cape Fear River provides water for municipalities from Sanford all the way down to Wilmington. I respectfully request that we get a chance to put information on the agenda, not only for you folks, but for the people of Lee County. Thank you.
Missy Anderson. Missy Anderson, if you subdue your applause, we could get this done faster. Keep applauding. Missy Anderson.
My name is Missy Anderson. I live at 2024 Cedar Lake Road in Deep River. I'm for a moratorium for the same reasons that everybody prior to me has discussed. I have a vested interest in Lee County. I've lived here since 2000. I was a speech therapist in the school system for 25 years and am retired. I've paddled all the rivers. I've ridden all the roads. I've hiked all the trails. I'm very concerned about the environmental effects and the effects on the animals as I spend a lot of time outside. I don't see that this is producing a lot of jobs. So this, to me, is a quality of life issue, as well as an environmental and wildlife issue. And I don't think it's worth it. And I think, like everybody said, that to be proactive about this. And I also would like to ask that one of you make a motion to add an agenda item to our next county commissioner meeting so that the Southern Environmental Law Center can speak with us. Thank you.
Siobhan Brennan.
Good evening. My name is Siobhan Brennan, 1481 Abercorn Lane. There's not much more that I can add to what's already been said, but I am also here as a resident of Sanford to give my support to a moratorium on the data centers and crypto mining in Lee County, specifically at Butler Well number 3. For the sake and the health of the residents, currently and future, I ask that we refrain from allowing such unnecessary practices that harm our water, our air, and our soil. Excuse me. Our neighbors in Chatham County have already approved a 12-month moratorium, and I ask that Lee County please do the same. I also implore that the board make a motion to add an agenda to our next county commissioner meeting for a presentation from Southern Environmental Law Center on the county's options for regulating data centers, crypto mining, drilling, and/or fracking. For the sake of transparency, we ask that this vote be taken in public. While I understand that an application may not have been put in place by the, Deep River Data, I also see there is no reason to wait. And I ask that this committee would please again put on our next committee meeting for that presentation, and also put in an approval for a moratorium on the data centers, crypto mining, drilling, and/or fracking in Lee County. Thank you.
Stephanie Stevens.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Stevens, and I live at 618 Eagle Road. I have spoke before you back in November. I am the river keeper of the Deep River, and so my job is to protect the Deep River and its neighbors. My organization is new. We do recreation, we engage youth and local residents, we paddle the Deep River. I also write grants, analyze data, and do things like this. I am very concerned about the proposal to drill and put a data center against the river in the Comnock region. My main concern is simply that we already have a polluted river. Sanford sells their drinking water, interbasin transfers. It serves about 50,000 people, just about 8 miles downstream from this location. And it already has pollution issues with 1,4-dioxin and PFAS. Another issue with data centers is that PFAS chemicals are used in their cooling processes. And so, I think that passing a moratorium gives you guys time to really reassess and consider, if this is a good investment for Lee County. Given the nature that, of the state of the river as it is, and also the economic resource that it provides to Lee County. Additionally, I think, in your UDO and also in the comprehensive plan, the target focuses are appropriate use of land, and also public health and well-being and promoting recreation. And so, there are new access sites up and down the Deep River for kayaking and paddling. There are multiple historic sites on the Deep River. And it's also a state trail. And so, to put a data center directly next to the new 421 river access site just seems silly. It doesn't go along with what's already being proposed for the well-being of the community. There are many opportunities to consider different industries My organization, we're not against industry, we're not against economic growth, and we want you to know that we're also here to work with you, to help with scientific evidence, to inform you on water quality issues, and also to establish relationships so that we can create future recreation opportunities and, you know, to work together with youth in the region. And so I just see a data center really causing a problem for that on an area that's already spent so much time and money developing this state trail. And so I would encourage you to pass a moratorium like Chatham County has, and also to allow a presentation onto the agenda just so that you can see the cons of this. You know, these data centers are, you know, targeting rural areas rapidly. And so pausing and reconsidering, I think, is extremely important. Thank you.
Ashley Daniels.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Daniels. I'm the Program and Organizing Director at Toxic Free NC in Durham.
I need your address, please.
331 West Main Street, Durham, North Carolina. I am the Program and Organizing Director at Toxic Free NC in Durham. At Toxic Free NC, we advance environmental health and justice in the state by advocating for safe alternatives to harmful pesticides and chemicals. Traditionally, our areas of focus have not included data centers, but the people who live, work, and raise families in Lee County face potential risks due to extractive industry. We stand with them in calling on commissioners to once again pass a moratorium on fracking, as you've done before in 2017 and 2019. We also call for a moratorium on drilling and a moratorium on data centers. By adopting a moratorium on these activities, you are helping to protect residents, drinking water, and farmland in the area for years to come. According to North Carolina journalist Lisa Sorg, Deep River Data would be the first commercial well drilled into the Triassic Basin. We know if a precedent is set for this industry in the county, Deep River Data won't be the last to drill here. Conventional drilling is known to contaminate groundwater and is a significant source of the greenhouse gas emissions that intensify dangerous storms and flood events we experience in North Carolina. Close to 23 miles of the Deep River are on the federal impaired waters list, in part due to 1,4-dioxane discharges upstream. Contamination of the local water sources from fracking or conventional drilling, or from data centers flooding due to heavy rain and storm events, would only exacerbate the existing environmental threats impacting the region. We have seen with Duke Energy's coal ash spill into the Dan River in 2014. We have seen with the Chemours' repeated PFAS violations. North Carolina must not take for granted that industry will simply do the right thing. What we know is monitoring and enforcement becomes much more difficult when permits are secured and operations begin. The time to leverage your strength in decision-making is now. Local governments are one of the strongest means of defense for communities in North Carolina. And accounts of the 1925 Coal Glen mine disaster in neighboring Chatham County report that at least 53 men lost their lives in the explosions on May 27th. The explosions left 38 women widowed and 79 children without fathers. What happened that day did not just impact a piece of equipment or a job site, but changed an entire community forever. Any partnership with industry must first prioritize the safety and benefit of community. Again, we urge you to pass a moratorium on fracking, drilling, and data centers to protect the people of Lee County. Thank you.
Deb Hall. Debbie Hall.
I am Debbie Hall, 957 Cumnock Road, Sanford, North Carolina. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak. I have two things I want to talk about, and the first is the data centers, crypto mining, and fracking. The current and future citizens of Lee County need a moratorium on data centers. These facilities are known to demand a huge cost in their use of a region's natural resources while their return in benefits is questionable. They can be as large as 100,000 square feet, but they hire very few people. The biggest problem for our particular region right now is the impact on our greatest natural resource, our already heavily exploited Deep River. Data centers have the potential to exhaust not just our electrical generation capacity, but also our water supply. The Environmental and Energy Study Institute estimated that approximately 17 billion gallons of water were used just in 2023 to cool data centers. A typical center needs about 5 million gallons a day, and that's enough water to supply a town of 10 to 50,000 residents. Our leadership has already sold our river to several other overpopulated and under-resourced regions. This same leadership simultaneously approved an alarming density of new development at an alarming rate. The county doesn't truly know the impacts of those decisions that have already been made. Currently, our UDO has no provision for data centers. A moratorium would give time for an in-depth study on data centers and all their potential impacts before there is an actual application put forth. It would allow time for Lee County to properly consider the costs and the benefits. The current and future residents expect and deserve their leaders to make sound decisions based on good information and a plan. We don't have information and we don't have a plan. What we expect and deserve from our leaders brings me to my second topic. I spent some time this week reading about what the role of a county commissioner is. A couple phrases I read were, they are accountable to the citizens of their counties. They must listen to concerns, be responsible to voters. In Lee County, it appears that at least one commissioner, Chairman Smith, feels his duty is to demean citizens who do not agree with him. In my opinion and in my understanding of our local government, he undermines all that I thought a commissioner stood for. Thank you.
Peter Eckley. Peter Eckley. No Peter. Dan Eckley. No Dan. Maria Zone. Maria Zone. No Maria. Michelle Clark.
Hello, my name is Michelle Clark. I live at 162 Deerview in Sanford. As a resident of Sanford, I'm respectfully requesting a moratorium on data centers and crypto mining, as well as an agenda item added to the next meeting for a presentation covering our legal options on potential regulation of these industries in our county. There are two questions that need to be answered before approving data center projects in Lee County. What are the potential risks, and do the risks outweigh the benefits? We already know some of the potential consequences based on the impacts in other counties where data centers have been installed. Residents all over the country are reporting extreme increases in utility costs, power grid instability, noise pollution, and health risks that accompany data center development. Data centers also bring economic risks relating to decreased tourism and resident retention and loss in real estate value. In response, other local and state governments, including New York, Mississippi, and even Florida, are beginning to pass regulations and bans on data centers. In fact, 25 projects for AI centers have been canceled in January alone. The second question that needs to be answered is, do the risks outweigh the benefits? I would argue that the answer is yes. There are no real long-term job gains, nor do these companies anticipate achieving profitability until 2029, if at all. The AI and crypto mining industries are already showing signs of being unstable, and unsustainable in the long term. The North Carolina retirement system has already lost $33 million in crypto investments since September. Companies are canceling their AI contracts due to underperformance. Crypto stocks are tanking, and the AI bubble seems to be popping under the weight of empty promises. Please consider passing a moratorium in order to ensure that this industry is even worth investing our health, ecology, and economy in. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public comments. We would like to take a 10-minute recess, starting now. If you put the clock up there, Colin. Thank you.
Diamond girl, you sure do shine.
can commence with business. Next item on the agenda, and I do apologize, that the Harnett Lee Veterans Treatment Court, and that would be Zane Campbell.
Sorry, I had to bring that up a little bit, and a little bit taller than the mic was. First of all, thank you for allowing me to come and speak with y'all this evening. I did place at y'all's seats a little information packet that's going to go a little bit more in-depth with some of the things. First of all, my name is Zane Campbell. I'm the director of the District 12 Veterans Treatment Court. Come to you tonight out of great concern for this program. This court's been around for 13 years, since November 2013. During that time, we've graduated 136 veterans from our court. Out of those 136, over the last 13 years, 12 have reoffended. It gives us a less than 10% recidivism rate. So what does that mean for the citizens and taxpayers? The cost of incarceration for 1 year is anywhere from $50,000 to $52,000 per year, and that doesn't include medical. Currently, I'm operating off of 2 federal grants, and we have been grant funded for the most part of our 13 years. With the current status of government funding and the way things have been going, over the last year, I've faced 2 government shutdowns, which, in all honesty, was tragic. Had to try to figure out how to make this court continue to operate and still be able to provide the level of care and treatment to the veterans in our program that we do. For those not familiar with what the Veterans Treatment Court is, we're a judicially managed court. It's presided over by our Chief District Court Judge, Honorable Frank Wood, and representing the state is our District Attorney, the Honorable Suzanne Matthews. Veterans are ordered into our court. They have criminal charges. A lot of times they have pled to those charges in order to come into our court as opposed to incarceration. Some people might look at that and say that's not fair. Well, I will say that the charges and the things that we look at are heavily scrutinized when they come across my desk. I'm looking at things that are directly related to mental health and substance abuse, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with. There's a lot of talk about the opioid crisis. My data kind of shows a little bit of a shift in what the top drugs are, and nationally is starting to concur. Number 1 being methamphetamine, number 2 being cocaine, actually, number 3 being alcohol. With that, those veterans come to us and they spend approximately 18 to 24 months with us while they receive judicially supervised care and treatment. Currently, my total operating budget to run at a very basic and minimal cost is $562,000 a year. I'm here before you today to try to get away from federal grants. I need to be able to provide some sort of stability to this program that's been going on for 13 years without a risk every few months of the doors being closed. As many of you are probably aware, we're facing another government shutdown possibility come Friday. With that, again, comes uncertainty, whether or not I'm going to be able to utilize the funds that I already have. There's 16 veterans currently being supervised in our court. What does that mean for them? Well, that means that I'm going to have staff that might not be able to come to work. That means I might not be able to pay for their treatment and therapies. That means that 16 veterans that are progressing, dealing with mental health disorders and substance abuse may not get the services that they deserve and have earned by serving this great country. I've already approached Harnett County with this and presented to them last month. And I'm asking for $150,000 annually. I know that might sound like a lot of money, but I ask you, how much is a life worth? Because not only is this program saving lives, but we're also saving families. We're producing citizens that are giving back to the community. We're saving taxpayers' money. We're looking to truly rehabilitate individuals. A prison cell, a jail cell is not rehabilitation. All that is the University of Criminal Behavior. In conclusion, Harnett County has agreed to the $150,000 per year. Lee County was next on my list, as we have partnered with y'all since the beginning to fund this court, to make sure this court's successful. Commissioners have been to our court, especially Chairman Smith has been there several times, and I'm sure he could attest to the life-changing things that we do and are currently still doing in that court. This time, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you may have.
Questions for Mr. Campbell? Commissioner Sharp?
Come back to me.
Okay. He said come back to him.
Start with me.
Commissioner Martin?
Thanks. So you'd like to move from federal funding to local funding,
Correct.
but I'm not really understanding where you're at in that budget season, right? So are you looking at FY '27 and saying I'd like to be set up for FY '27, or like tell me where you're looking at?
So federal grants run their official years a little bit different than our county official years, which are usually run from July. Federal is October 1st.
Right.
I have one grant expiring October 1st. The issue that we have is, unless I'm able to tell the state, the AOC, that funding is secured for the next year, so that would be October 1 of this year to October 1 of '27, then they start pulling jobs and stop paying my staff. So what that means for us is one of my grants is expiring September 30th of this year.
Could you relate to AOC?
Sir?
You said AOC.
Yeah, sorry, that's the Administrative Office of the Courts, who we contract through as state positions, and we contract through those at 1 year at a time, and we have to guarantee our funding for that year in order for our court to remain open. The other issue is with these federal grants is they are designed for enhancement. They're not designed for sustainability, and it very clearly states on those grants that it's designed for enhancement of a program, not sustaining a program. Luckily, we've been able to do it for the last 13 years, but here recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a drastic increase in treatment courts in the country due to the mental health and substance abuse issues that we see. However, the funding has not increased. So what that has done is it's made programs like ours become even more competitive to try to get funding to come into our court. Why they didn't increase funding, I do not know. The state of North Carolina stopped funding treatment courts in 2013. The state of North Carolina does not fund any treatment court in this state.
So then my follow-up question is what does it look like? So let's assume you can fund your annual budget with the asks that you're going to do.
Correct.
Where do you then stand with federal grants?
So federal grants will only be used and applied for if there is some sort of enhancement that needs to be done to our program. I took over as a director of the court 5 years ago, and the previous director kind of left me a little bit of a nightmare. However, in the time since, I've been able to stabilize the budget. I've been able to secure a drug testing lab that is state-of-the-art. It's not an Instacup, it's not a dipstick. And we're the only court in the state of North Carolina that has that machine and that technology. By doing so, it has decreased our costs. As far as the treatment goes, Alliance gives $50,000 a year towards treatment and therapy. Again, that might sound like a lot, but if you look into how much a 30-day inpatient program costs, Wilmington Treatment Center, $1,300 per day. So we are obviously not using that facility. We find, my case managers, myself, my staff, does a phenomenal job of finding as many free or no to little cost options that we can.
I can appreciate everything that you're saying, and I certainly understand the stability that would come without having to, rely on grants that may or may not be available to you.
Correct.
Ultimately, I totally understand that. Ultimately, I'm wondering if you do have full funding, is that going to eliminate the possibility of you applying for grants, or can you do both?
No, I can definitely do both, yes, ma'am.
Federal funding, you still need our funding.
I mean, ultimately, that is where I'm, right, I'm thinking, so if we do a year,
Right.
like if.
Correct.
I'm just saying, like, if you got through your first year,
Mhm.
and then do you come back and report to the to your funders as to where you're at and your needs, or like?
Have
Possibly.
no objection of doing that. Like I said, the ultimate goal is to ensure the stability of this court.
Sure.
I know there's been talks of Harnett and Lee doing a regular adult treatment court, but until I can ensure that this court is fully funded, there's no way I can even think about opening up a second court.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Levick.
I have no questions, just comment. Thank you so much for what you do for our veterans, and it's a shame our good country is going to this.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Connect. Thank you. Commissioner Vorbeck.
Thank you for the presentation. I guess I have a question that's probably going to go back to staff by way have you applied for any of the Renew, or does this not qualify for any of the Renew initiative?
Not that I'm aware of. All of our funding comes from the Bureau for Justice on the federal level. I utilize grants.gov to search for the grants for a specific court. And those are the only ones that I've been able to find, except for through SAMHSA, which is substance abuse and mental health.
So I guess, Angelina, do you mind, is this would some of what he does fall into something he could apply for? Sorry.
We're not currently accepting any applications for the Renew money, because that money was reallocated by the commissioners.
Okay.
So the only thing that we would have is ARPA set-aside dollars that were dedicated for behavioral health purposes.
That's what, okay. And could that fall under some of the services he's providing?
So that would be, that'd probably be something that the board would have to make that determination.
Okay.
But it would be for behavioral health services.
Yes.
So if I understand correctly, Commissioner, are you asking if the ARPA funds could be used to fund this court? Is that what you're asking?
Well, that was one of the, is that a bucket of money that would fall under this realm? And then I didn't know, like, the Renew's what kind of came into my brain when I first started that line of questioning, so.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think if I have anything else. I don't have anything else at this moment, sorry.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes, sir. What are your funding sources now?
It's the 2 federal grants from the Bureau for Justice Administration.
No counties?
No, sir. Well, Harnett County has committed to the $150,000 that I've come here asking for as well.
Is your county Harnett?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But we are Harnett and Lee County. We share the same judicial district, same prosecution district.
And can you tell me how many Lee County veterans have been through the program?
Sure. In the last 3 years, 35% of the veterans that have come through our court have been either charged and/or live in Lee County. Currently, I've got the 16
What
in
number
the
does
court.
35% represent?
Yeah, yes, sir. It's currently, today, there are 5 veterans from Lee County in our program out of the 15 that are currently active. Traditionally, I can't speak for what happened prior to 2020 when I came in, but since then, you're looking at approximately 25 veterans from Lee or Harnett County in the last 5 years.
And what's your current or previous budget amount total?
For this fiscal year,
Yes.
$562,000.
So if you get two at 150, that's 300. How do you
Correct.
make up the difference?
So one of my grants is good for 1 more year. So what's going to end up happening is there are 2 other counties that utilize our services primarily, and that is Johnston County and Lee County. And I have meetings with them the first Monday of
Well, we're Lee County.
March. Excuse me? Johnston and Wake, excuse me.
Okay.
Johnston and Wake.
All right.
And I have meetings with them coming up in March.
Okay. How about the Trillion Mental Health Group? Have you contacted them?
So Alliance Health, that $562,000 budget does not cover my mental health costs. It's not included in that price. Alliance Health gives me $50,000 a year to provide mental health treatment.
So how would you protect Lee County's $150,000 if we participated?
So the veterans that you have that are coming through this court, if you look nationally,
No, I'm talking about when we don't have any.
when you don't,
Yeah.
you know, sir, I
still
kind of
use-
find that hard to believe that there would not be any veterans from Lee County in our court at any given time. I mean,
Well, you might, but my question is, what happens to the amount of money?
then
Does it get
it
used in the single pot? It just goes into the pot?
goes into the pot to pay for our operations, keep our door open, correct?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Sharp.
Yes, I don't have any questions, but being retired from probation parole, I have drug tested some of those guys and, you know, and know what the program's about. And I do know that it costs $52,000 a year to incarcerate someone. And I'm just trying to put that out there to say, at $13,000 a year, Veterans Treatment Court seems like a good deal to me, especially when I see 10% recidivism rate.
Yes, sir.
And with probation parole, your you might get lucky with 2 or 3 out of 10.
Yes, sir.
It's a good program, and I've heard about it and halfway participated in it for a long time. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Zane, I know that you fall under Alliance when they realigned all the mental health LME MCOs. You used to be under what was Sandhills at the time.
Correct.
Have you approached Trillium at all?
No, sir, I
If
don't
not-
believe that they will, since the primary location is, from the understanding that I got, the primary location that the court is held in is Harnett, so we have to go through Alliance. That was the understanding I got when they did the split and we had all the meetings about it.
Okay, I'll see if I can work on that.
That'd be great.
Any further questions for Zane?
Well, I just got one. I'm trying to understand if you offer Department of Corrections that kind of savings on what you do, have you entertained addressing them for the savings?
Department of Corrections, that's a whole nother beast, sir. With a lot of your state prisons being privately funded and privatized, they're not going to give up any of their funding. I'm trying to keep people out of prison.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any further questions? Zane, thank you, sir. We're still on with Senator Budd's field representative. We'll be there in a few weeks. Looking forward to it, sir.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a good night.
Next item on the agenda is information technology core infrastructure migration. Kyle, I'm sorry, I've been giving Kyle a hard time the past few weeks.
You have been, but I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Bringing a project to you tonight surrounding a migration of part of the core infrastructure that the IT department supplies to the county, and this infrastructure essentially powers most everything that each department in the county does from an IT perspective on a daily basis. So I'm asking tonight that you would give authority to the county manager to sign contracts, approve purchase orders, review bids, and approve bids kind of outside of our typical financial policy. Because of the timing of this project, due to what's kind of happened over the past few months, this thing started to move pretty quickly, and so we kind of have to follow suit. The budget impact for the project is the net of it is a savings over the next 5 years, but we would have to spend a significant amount of money up front to replace the system. So with me tonight, I have Brandon Cole with a company called the Davenport Group, and we also have a couple of their representatives on screen. The Davenport Group has been our partner since around 2007 for this particular area of IT. So I'd like to ask Brandon to come forward now, and he's going to go through a presentation with us, and then we'll have time for questions after that.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for having us here tonight. Certainly appreciate the time. As Kyle mentioned, we've been supporting y'all dating back to 2007. My name is Brandon Cole. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Davenport Group. I've been with the organization 16 years. So y'all have actually predated me being at Davenport Group, so I very much appreciate the partnership and support. So what we wanted to talk about today, as Kyle mentioned, is the infrastructure project. And Colin, is there a way to pull that up on the screen by chance? And you can go on to the next slide. So what we'd like to talk about is replacing the current existing infrastructure that y'all have in place. And what I'd like to do is kind of talk a little bit about the current state, where we are. I'll do my best to break this thing down into layman's terms. I know IT sometimes can get into the weeds. I want y'all to certainly be able to follow along and understand how we got here, and then more importantly, the business need of the importance of needing to move relatively quickly on this thing. So y'all's current infrastructure is what's called VxRail. VxRail is a name brand for what is otherwise considered hyperconverged. Hyperconverged infrastructure is basically where you've got your servers, your storage, your networking, and your software all wrapped up into one box, which is great, right? One throat to choke as it relates to kind of the infrastructure offering. The other option to go is a traditional server and SAN. And what SAN stands for is Storage Area Network. Just think a big computer full of all of your data. So traditional server, SAN, and networking architecture. So you've got the all-in-one option, or kind of the a la carte, if you will, where you can mix and match the different technologies as far as servers, SAN, and networking. What we're asking is that we complete this project during this current fiscal year, as Kyle mentioned, a little bit outside of y'all's normal budget cycle for when this project was slated to take place. We'll talk a little bit about the driving factors in that here in just a second, but the overall goal here would be to reduce the overall cost of what this infrastructure replacement would cost you if you were to wait 4, 5, 6 months or even longer. Next slide, please, Colin. So again, as I mentioned, y'all currently operate a VxRail stretch cluster. It's a fancy way of saying that you have redundant infrastructure at 2 sites, and y'all purchased that back in 2021. So y'all have gotten 5 years of use out of that. That's pretty typical for IT infrastructure. It's not too different than the laptops and iPads that y'all have in front of you. You all know after 5 years, typically they start to slow down or get full, and it's time to get a new device. So 5 years is pretty typical even in the infrastructure business as well too. This infrastructure today supports all of y'all's core county systems and services. So obviously very, very important for keeping the county moving forward. Your current support on this infrastructure expires in July of this calendar year. This was a planned support renewal. We knew when y'all bought it that y'all had bought 5 years of support from the jump. And so coming up here in July 26, you'll have a software renewal on the current infrastructure. Now, your current hardware that houses all of this data that we're talking about, that's good for 1 more year after this summer. So that'll actually extend out till September 2027, but beyond that date, it will no longer be able to be supported. It's very important to have support on infrastructure. You definitely want to be under support because it allows you to have security patches, updates, and all the things that keeps your data safe. So as I mentioned before, that infrastructure can be supported for 1 additional year after this summer. And as stated before, that VMware software renewal is up here in July of 2026. What I'd like to do, if I can, is I'd like to turn over the next couple of slides to kind of talk about how we got here and some of the changes that have happened in the industry to Ben Smoker, who's one of my solutions architects. He has supported y'all for many years. He's helped design and implement a lot of these solutions. And when you're designing and implementing these solutions, it's incredibly important to size appropriately. If you undersize, that's no good, right? Because we have to come back to you and say, hey, we got to buy more infrastructure, which costs more money. And if we oversize, well, the opposite is true, where we've gone out there and spent taxpayer money that way otherwise shouldn't have. So Ben's been tremendous at helping us design these in the past, and he's actually had a hand in helping design this as well, too. So I'll let him talk a little bit about why the current offering or what you have in place today, the status quo, is no longer a viable option. Ben, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you clear as a bell, Brandon. Good afternoon, folks. I am a solutions architect with Davenport Group, been here about 6 years, and Brandon has already alluded to the fact that sometimes technology can be complicated, and my goal tonight will be to help simplify your understanding of those complicated things. When you purchased VxRail in 2021, it was an excellent decision at that time, and the product has been a wonderful
Thank you,
I think that covers all of the things that I managed to address at this time, so thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. Colin, if we could go to the next slide. So this is a summary of kind of what Ben just talked about, right? So we talked about the VxRail renewal being required here this summer, the new infrastructure to replace that on top of that software renewal would have to take place here in the next 12 months. So that results in two pretty major technology costs in one budget year. The tough part about this, obviously, is in county government, we're all budgeting a year in advance, and those budgets aren't typically very fluid, right? Very rarely do we go out there and find more money after a budget's been put into place. So the proposed solution that we're putting together here is roughly a savings of $350,000, and that's conservative, and I'll talk a little bit about what that conservative nature is. There's a little bit of volatility in the industry right now, which is kind of the next point that I want to go into. The industry is at a very interesting point. I haven't seen anything quite like it since COVID and nothing like it before then. There have been a lot of major manufacturers out there buying up hardware, chips, hard drives, memory at a rapid pace. In fact, the majority of the allocation that was supposed to be available for the remainder of this calendar year has been all but bought up. It's not to say that there's none available. There's still major manufacturers such as Dell, Pure, HP, Lenovo that are out there holding on to some of this stuff. But a lot of the major manufacturers have these components spoken for by other companies that are out there kind of pushing the limits of IT today. So with that, there's been a supply and demand issue. And we know with supply and demand issues, it oftentimes comes down to a pricing issue. And so we're seeing a lot of volatility in the industry right now. In fact, some of the quotes that we're having that are typically good from our manufacturing partners that are normally good for 30 days, we're seeing having to be refreshed every 14 days. And in those 14 days, the prices aren't going down. They're certainly going up. So what I'd like to do is kind of take you into the next slide, which will break down a little bit of a total cost of ownership of what we're proposing for you. I've got a couple of different examples. So the first one's going to be over a 5-year period. The solution that we're proposing to y'all is, as we mentioned, server, storage, support, and installation, as well as networking. That all comes out to about $1,026,000 today, thereabouts. So that includes the hardware, the support, the install. It includes the VMware licensing, and I'm focusing right now on that top left chart. And in year one, it's about $1,026,000. Each subsequent year thereon after that, the only cost would be the VMware licensing to the tune of about $100,000 annually. Breaking this whole thing down for a total cost of ownership over the course of 5 years of roughly $1.4 million. Now, if you were to do status quo and do nothing, if you pivot over to this 5-year TCO on the right, your VMware bill for this year alone is actually $280,000. So the reason for this is, the reason there's a delta between that 280 and the 100,000, 99 and some change, is because VMware has actually gone out there, Broadcom's gone out there and changed their licensing structure. So by pivoting you to this more traditional server storage network 3-2-1 architecture as opposed to that hyper-converged, we're actually saving you about $180,000 annually. And that is a fixed number that's going to span out over the course of 5 years. So you're not going to see that $99,000 increase unless you go out there and change what the makeup is of your current infrastructure. So you'll have the $280,000 fee in the VMware renewal alone if you were to stay in the current status quo, and then roughly $1.5 million in an infrastructure upgrade. That is if you were to buy here by August, which is about the time frame in which we had slated that you would be refreshing your current VxRail hardware for whatever the new proposed solution is. And the reason I say in August is if you look at the bottom left chart, that's that 10% month-over-month hardware increase that we're seeing across the board of all manufacturers. This isn't limited to Dell, HP, Pure, IBM. This is across the board, and this goes down to that component shortage. So you'll see here from a March price perspective that $926,280 number that we talked about for your hardware purchase, assuming y'all were to move forward with this here relatively quickly. And as you can see, as you span out to December, the price goes up pretty incrementally. This by no means is a scare tactic, by no means is a game. It's very, very serious. We've been trying to get in front of this conversation with all of our existing customers across the board, and we deal with folks from county government to the private sector, from mom and pop shops all the way up to Fortune 500s, with the highest majority of customers that we work with, very similar to y'all in that county government space. So the need to at least get in front of this and evangelize that the price increase is coming is real, and we would not be being good stewards to y'all or the taxpayers' money to not be having this conversation with you far ahead of that price jumping as much as it possibly can the longer that you wait. So if you go to the next slide here, one other thing that I want to talk about with the storage option that we're proposing with you, there's some other built-in safekeepings for you as well too. So a lot of times in this industry, what you'll see is you go out there and you buy a solution, and then your support comes up for renewal 3-5 years down the road, and all of a sudden that software support renewal quote is more expensive than the existing or the first solution that you bought, and the whole game there is to get you to rip and replace and buy something new. This option that we're building for y'all is in proposing for you is future-proof, for lack of a better term. So the numbers that differ here is because you're strictly looking at what the storage, install, and support would be for this, right? The number you saw on the previous page also included those servers. So this is strictly just the storage that we're looking at right here. You've got a total all-in price for the storage alone here in 2026 of about $640,000. In 2031, 5 years from now, because that solution that we're proposing for you has 5 years of support, in 2031, it'll be a flat $33,000 to renew the support on this infrastructure upgrade that we're talking about today. Now, in that, some built-in added pluses for you is that you can actually go out there and upgrade your controllers at that time at no additional cost. That's included in the price. So what that means to you is the controllers that control all of the storage behind it are basically the brains of this unit. You'd be able to go out there because 5 years from now, inevitably, there's going to be something bigger, faster, stronger, more powerful. You'll be able to go out there and upgrade to the faster, better controllers at no additional charge outside of your existing software renewal cost, support renewal cost. With that, you would also then, every 3 years thereafter, get to take advantage of those controller upgrades. So say 3 years from 2031, we're down to 2034, there's a new, bigger, faster, better controller out there. At that point, you would owe nothing. You could go out there and upgrade those controllers then as well too. The other thing that I want to call out is that $333,000 number that's up there on the screen will remain flat for the entire life of this system. So short of y'all going out there and adding additional hard drives behind this thing, which we've sized this appropriately, that you should not have to do that unless there's some incremental growth here in the county, you'll be paying a flat, predictable $33,000 every 5 years for that support, which would include those controller upgrades. So I'll pause there. I know that's a lot of information. I'm sure there are questions about kind of where we are, how we got here, as well as kind of the breakdown of the total cost of ownership. So I'll open it now to questions if y'all have any.
Questions for Mr. Cole. Commissioner Sharp, did you get all that?
That was a lot, but no questions this time.
Commissioner Reeves.
I'm good with the 33,000. That's it.
She should have said 333,000, yes?
I heard him say 33,000.
I did too.
333,000.
I did too.
That's what I listened to.
Oh, I heard 33,000 too. Now that I can see that.
That's exactly what I heard.
It's on record.
Commissioner
just so
Warbeck.
you know. I think there was a slide in the very beginning that talked about it would run all our processes in the county. Can you elaborate a little bit on what processes in our county and why this, you had listed like 5 of them.
Yeah, I
was trying
defer to
find-
Kyle for specifically what's running on
That's-
the system today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, this system houses all the servers that are used by the county. So those servers host financial systems, payroll systems, timekeeping, public safety. They're all kind of intertwined in our telephony systems, and our directory, and our email. So pretty much all of those systems that folks use on a daily basis, in addition to access control. So when folks go up to county buildings and they enter and exit access control doors, systems such as that. All the data storage that is used by various departments. So the data that is exchanged on a daily basis with transactions between citizens and departments, those kind of things. That's a pretty high-level view of what some of the systems are that are comprised here.
And this is this also kind of, I know the library, will that help with anything within the new library coming up as well?
Oh, certainly, certainly, yeah, the library kind of call, they've got a few of their own systems, but they call back to several of ours as well, yes.
No questions, or no any more questions? Thank you.
Commissioner Connect.
Cal, how come we're not in the cloud?
Did you say, why aren't we in the cloud? So we actually have, we've got probably half a foot in the cloud right now on some of the systems.
Why can't we do everything in the cloud?
Everything in the cloud is a big discussion, right? Because some vendors, if you take Munis, for example, which is our financial system, they would love for us to be in the cloud. But if we take that system to the cloud, then we're almost tripling the cost of their support and what they would like to deliver in order to bring us to the cloud. So there's some other security concerns around some of the software. So we're taking a very moderated approach as we move to the cloud. We do have some things there, but we're just not at a point to rip everything and go straight there.
I know this doesn't fully compare to that, but I was in a finance meeting a couple weeks ago, and they brought up the school systems and books, and it was community college stuff. And because, anyways, they're saying now, because everything had moved from digital books, now the software to keep up with the digital books and stuff, they're going to start ordering paper books again because it's less costly to have the paper book back in than it is to have the licensing. So that's the only reason why it made me think of it as, certain the IT and the technology we have is good, but then it's starting to, you're starting to see to get to the cloud or, things like that, the licensing software, yearly fees and stuff are just skyrocketing.
Anything else?
Thank you, Carl.
Commissioner Lovick?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
Thank you.
That's no questions?
No questions, thank
Okay.
you.
I do have a question. On this chart, 27, 28, 29, and 30, there's no cost? Because I do know that Kyle comes to us on licensing fees every year that have to be renewed, so tell me why those are blank.
Kyle won't be coming to you for licensing fees for this solution. There may be things outside of this, such as y'all Cisco or whatever else y'all may have out there, but for this solution, the price is the price for the first 5 years. And you can get to 2031 and say, we don't want to renew support on it, we're going to go a completely different direction, and you can certainly do it, but the price that we have outlined there will cover you for 5 years.
Okay.
And just to kind of clarify on that specific question you had, Chairman Smith. So unfortunately, there are other systems outside of this system that require some significant funding, one of which is our Microsoft licensing. That's probably the largest one that you're thinking about. And that's for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, all those things that our folks use to collaborate and get things done in the Microsoft side of the house. And then there are still renewal costs with specific software companies for public safety, for Munis, for Kronos, for all those different providers, unfortunately.
Okay. So we have a request to authorize the county manager to sign the contracts, approve purchase orders, and approve any bids associated with this project that may be outside the typical financial policy thresholds. Are there any further questions?
I have a question. So are we moving forward with, this is where we're going and it's going to happen like immediately to save this 10% increase month after month? Is that, we're not voting on that, right? We're just voting on you signing not having to come to us with all the different requests in regard to this.
We would be moving to this. We
Right.
would be doing this. So we would also be bringing back to you, once we get the final cost, a budget amendment so that we could go ahead and pay for all this up front instead of paying for it over the next 5 years through a lease, which saves us $200 and some thousand, I think it was, wasn't it, Jen?
And what do we have budgeted for this type of project in this, where are we at with the differential?
differential from what we're paying now in a fiscal year versus what we'll have to pay upfront.
Yes.
We don't have the exact cost yet, but do you have an idea?
Yeah, we have, so yeah, if we were to stay with the system that we have today and not do anything, then when July comes, we'd have to pay roughly $300,000 to renew that system. Then when the fall of '27 comes, we'd be faced with what we're faced with
I
tonight.
understand, I'm sorry, maybe I didn't make my question clear. Is this the number that the county had planned? Where are we at with the estimate on what we had planned to spend on upgrading our software system?
This is in line, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I'll make the motion to allow Lisa to make decisions regarding this.
So you move to authorize the county manager to sign contracts, approve purchase orders, and approve any bids associated with this project that may be outside typical financial policy thresholds. Additionally, to instruct the county manager to keep the Board of Commissioners updated throughout the life cycle of this project on any approvals outside the normal authorized thresholds.
Correct.
I have read the motion. Is there any further discussion?
I want to ask the manager, you in agreement with this?
Yes, sir.
Good. And I like your sheet explaining what we were doing.
We have the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Oh, mercy.
Appreciate it.
Technology. We were talking about that earlier. Next item on the agenda is approve the budget amendment, Farmland Preservation Fund. Jen Waterhouse, Chief Financial Officer, is giving a presentation, and she's pointing at the manager, so I guess the manager's.
Back in March of 2025, the board adopted the Farmland Preservation Fund program, in that it allowed you to take the rollbacks from the previous fiscal year and move them to the Farmland Preservation Fund. Now that our audit has been completed, I have brought to you that budget amendment, which would move the $195,670 that was collected in rollback taxes in fiscal year '25 to the Farmland Preservation Fund. So I'm presenting that budget amendment to you for your consideration.
Questions for Lisa? Commissioner Martin?
Just want to go over the numbers of where we're at with that fund. Can you update us on where the status of that fund presently without this money?
Yes, ma'am. We originally transferred $340,610 to the fund. We have spent $18,666.17 on the one deal that we have participated in. That leaves us a roughly $327,023 and some change, and that includes our interest earnings on those funds.
So 325-ish.
Yes, ma'am.
That we have in there. And we're talking about maybe adding in another 200, right?
Just
Or no,
under
97,
195.
for a total of $500,000,
Yes, ma'am. A
thereabouts.
little bit more.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
No questions.
Commissioner Connect?
Do we set a cap on how much goes in there?
No, sir.
I'll just make a motion that we just put this year's into the general fund, since we already have 325 in there.
You have a motion to put this year's rollback funds into the general fund, $195,670.
Yes, sir.
All right, you heard the motion. Questions? Commissioner Borbett?
Chairman
Well,
Smith,
I was
can
gonna
we modify that just to not do the transfer because the funds are already in the general fund?
Keep them there.
Just keep them there,
To not do the transfer.
not do the transfer. You've changed that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Borbett, questions?
I had my own motion, so I don't have any questions for that one.
Commissioner Reeves?
No question.
Commissioner Sharp?
Was your motion the same as?
No, it's different. It's opposite of his, but yeah.
Okay, you heard the motion to not transfer. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
I need a show of hands of the ayes. Those opposed? Motion carries, or motion failed. I'm sorry. Thank you. Commissioner Vorbeck?
Was gonna see if I can make a motion to table it for our March 2nd workshop meeting, so that we can get an update from Mr. Stone on some of the applications that have been coming in, or applications have come in. I know when we passed it on March 3rd of last year, we had said that we would have an update, and so I think it would be smart to kind of go through what we, even there was a question today on if we had set a cap on it. So I think it's smart to maybe go back over what we approved back on March 3rd of 2025, where we still stand and what the future of it looks like. Because I think we're just kind of, we're just not moving money, or we are moving money, but we don't really know what we're doing it for. So that's, my motion is to table this and put it on the March 2nd agenda as a discussionary item.
Do you wish to have Dr. Stone brief?
I would, yes.
All right, so the motion is to table for this motion, table this agenda item to bring to our workshop is that March 3rd?
March 2nd.
March 2nd, with a briefing by Dr. Stone. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do I have a show of hands for the ayes, please? Opposed? Two, okay. Did you get that, Madam Clerk? All right, that item is over. Monthly financial reports now, Ms. Waterhouse.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm going to, I presented to you 2 different months in the same, for tonight because of the last month, or the last meeting. So for brevity's purpose, I'm going to focus on just January, okay? So the target benchmark for January is 58.33%. We are at 94.66 of our ad valorem budget. Excluding the time-related items, there are 2 departments that are currently exceeding the budget projections. This is internal services, primarily due to the retiree insurance cost, and the medical examiner examination line has exceeded the expectation. I feel that is primarily due to the workforce and capacity at the state level, so that's outside of our control. Also, the October and November sales tax have came in. Both sales tax months came in above last year's projections or collections, with a revenue growth of 11.71% in October and 11.18% in November. And I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions for Ms. Waterhouse? Commissioner Sharp? Commissioner Reeves? Commissioner Vorbeck? Commissioner Knapp? Commissioner Lovick?
No.
Commissioner Martin? Thank you. Manager's report.
Okay, update on ongoing projects. Lee County Athletic Park is working to finalize the punch list items and close out open purchase orders with architect and contractor. Of course, the NCDOT, we're waiting for the drive entrance work, and that will not happen until they get to a certain point on the Highway 42 expansion. Library building project, construction continues. The exterior, the focus is on getting the building weather tight. The exterior of the building is 95% complete, with some delays in storefront windows, doors, and glass deliveries, and a few metal panels. Temporary materials are being utilized, wood windows and wood doors, to protect interior work and allow interior construction to continue. Landscape is also scheduled to begin over the next 2 weeks after final site work is complete. On the interior, temporary heating continues running to support interior work and conditioning of materials, flooring, painting, and millwork. Flooring installations in progress, carpet and rubber program flooring. HVAC systems are installed and will begin operating with testing and balancing over the next 2 weeks. On the historic courthouse, construction is complete. Staff is working on closing out the purchase orders for the original work. This project was challenging due to unforeseen conditions on masonry work and the State Historic Preservation Office oversight of the entire project. The courthouse parking lot was also damaged from equipment storage by the contractor. Repairs will be completed by the Lee County government with a credit provided by the contractor. There's additional work that remains open that was not completed due to time constraints with the original contractor. The work is still intended to be completed with remaining project funds and includes window lintel repairs of 7 windows and the brownstone cleanup and correction at the foundation from an adverse reaction with stone strengthener application. And that work was directed and approved by the State Historic Preservation Office. They have not offered us any additional money to clean it up, though. General Services Expansion, the contract execution for the design and construction administration with Mosley Architects was approved by the board on November 3rd. Mosley has visited the site, reviewed current building plans, and presented several additional floor plan layout options for the expansion. Staff is reviewing the options before making a decision to move forward on a selected design. The Coke Warehouse renovation, 9 architects submitted proposals for the Lee County Warehouse and Office renovations, RFQ. Our request for qualifications. Lee County staff have reviewed and scored all submissions and narrowed it down to 3. The 3 firms came on site to deliver presentations and discuss the project for final selection. Lee County has now selected 1 firm to recommend for the work and is currently reviewing cost proposals for the project and finalizing a contract. Once the contract is finalized, Lee County will begin working on the feasibility study and design for the site. The project will include renovated space for Colts and Veteran Services along with a feasibility study for the entire site buildings to best determine future usage and occupancy of the site. Wanted to point out a couple of things, nice things we're hearing. Buzzline, North Carolina DOT has acknowledged the success of Buzzline and plans to utilize it as a state and national model. The following is from the acknowledgement. The coordinated process of planning and implementing the Buzzline has resulted in immediate success. The public,
Public, city, and county.
okay, so it says say 2 publics. The public-public partnership between 2 levels of government is a national example worthy of celebration because it provides additional opportunities for people in the city of Sanford while strengthening the mobility infrastructure of Lee County. We plan on spotlighting the success of the Buzzline across the state and nationally, beginning with the National Smart Cities Connect Conference in Raleigh in March. That speaks very highly of the work that we did, our staff have done with the city staff in making this project come to fruition. So I think we need to definitely recognize Tanya and Debbie and Angelina and some of the others on our staff who've worked on various committees to get this project along with the city staff up and running and support of the government bodies. So thank y'all. Community support, Rolanda Jones, who's our community behavioral health clinician, was selected to participate in the North Carolina Child Treatment Program's Learning Collaborative in Trauma-Focused Cognitive Behavioral Therapy through Duke University. This certification training will benefit Lee County through her collaborative work throughout the community. And you'll see there the future dates of our meetings. On March 2nd, we will hold a work session at the McSwain Center. Currently, we are looking at having a discussion about our CIP. We will also have an opioid discussion on our opioid plan, and then we will also be having the discussion on farmland preservation. I also want to point out to you at your space, Ben has worked diligently to put a book together that has the requested CIP projects. So there's in there, and there's also a bound copy of the CIP request from the city. So we wanted y'all to have those so you can be prepared to ask questions or anything. If you have questions beforehand, if you'll reach out to either Ben or I, we'll be glad to try to get the information for you. But we hope that that would be helpful in that. And you also have a copy of our final financial statements at your spot. So I believe that's it for me.
Questions for the manager? Commissioner Martin?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Lovick?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Connect?
Thank you.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
I don't know if, question, but for the next board meeting, the March 2nd, the work session, I don't know if this needs to be a motion, or could we get a MedEx update, please, on where we stand with the contract negotiations?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Reeves?
No.
Commissioner Sharp?
No questions.
Seeing none, moving on. We'll move move to commissioner comments before we go into closed session. Commissioner Sharp, start with you.
Well, I ride around all day with my job, and this buzz line is on point. I see them everywhere. And how many do we have? Is it 2?
3.
3. It feels like 10, because I see it, I mean, they're just buzzing around all day long. So I just wanted to compliment, looks like we're getting some good use out of that.
We had some awesome numbers. I think I shared that with you some weeks ago when we had our committee meeting. Email, text message, I try to remember what I sent you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Reeves?
No comment.
Commissioner Vorbeck?
I don't know if this is now the time to ask, but for the, I guess, I don't know who of the individuals that spoke tonight who has requested to be on the agenda, but I know one of the ladies, the staff with the Clean Water for NC, had mentioned that she had also asked to be put on the agenda. So I would like to make a motion for the 316 meeting that one of the individuals is allowed to present, and also would like to have Jimmy Randolph do an economic development perspective as well during that time. Well, I think per our rules is a 10-minute. It's on the, like the presentation, or like your request to appear, it says 10 minutes. So, but I think it would be nice to see both perspectives, and I'm putting them as they're against one another. That's not it. But I think those would be two entities and allow the people to come and bring I know they had said that there were, oh my gosh, I'm blanking, like maps and soils, and to create a more visual ability to present up here.
We have a motion to request a presentation by which group would you like? You have the
So I
North
don't know who all
Carolina.
has asked, but I was just saying, I know Steph had come up a couple meetings ago, and she does
You have
the
the
clean water.
Southern Environmental Law Center.
Okay. So the,
You have the North Carolina Water. You have the Deep River Water Keepers.
all right,
You
we'll
have
do,
the
okay,
blue.
then, okay,
You
I'll
have,
say,
you
okay,
have the blue.
okay, you can stop now.
Ridge.
Thank you. We'll do Steph Gans, I'm gonna mispronounce her name, with Clean Water for NC.
Gans is a guy.
Like I said, I don't have them, so, I don't know. Like, I don't have the list, I never was shown, like,
I
who
understand.
requested to appear, so,
They made the most recent request.
okay.
Okay, the motion is to allow the Southern Environmental Law Center to come and give us a 10-minute briefing at our next board meeting scheduled for 16 March. Any further discussion? And Jimmy Randolph included.
Yes. Not in that, he can have his own 10 minutes.
He has, okay, two separate
Can I ask a
presentations.
question about that?
Yes.
I hear the Southern group, but what are we hoping that Mr. Randolph can share? I mean, in regard to a data center? Or fracking,
one of the
or
things
what?
that, well, oh yeah, because one of the concerns that keeps kind of coming up is it's all getting lumped in together, that there's data centers, that there's, we have multiple entities wanting to come here, and I think he would be able to also allow our individuals in our area to know that he's denied certain things, or there's certain things that have come across his desk that he thought, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm just saying, I think he could, from an economic perspective, there could be items out there or data centers that aren't fracking, aren't whatever, that could be a good economic fit for the county. I don't know, that's not my wheelhouse, I don't live in that, but I think he would be able to bring a perspective on what the future of this looks like. If we do a moratorium for 12 months, what does that look like to him? Like, he's the person who's out there trying to select some of the better businesses to be able to come and present to us so
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Commissioner comments, Commissioner Connect, Commissioner comments, Commissioner Levick?
Just like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. You know, it's a neat country when you can come express yourself the way we can in America. So I do want to thank folks for coming out. It might not be what we always want to hear, but you get to express yourselves. So, and I had a little IT problem today, so I've got to give a shout out to IT department for getting me up and going. Congratulations to Adcock for 50 years and they were actually Small Business of the Year this year also. So, and thank you for the planning board for what they do, have to sit in our meetings and get all the information and bring back good suggestions to us. And last but not least, it's my wife's birthday, so
happy
I
birthday.
cannot go without telling my wife happy birthday. Thank you.
Commissioner Martin?
No, thank you.
I just have two things. First off, Keely emphasized my ridiculing of picking up trash. The rest of that email also includes the fact that the roadside trash is breaking down with microplastics, which contaminate our water. So just for clarification on that. And Debbie Hall, this leadership had nothing to do with the housing developments, the concentrated housing developments, nor the water and sewer systems that are being panned out. So please separate us from that. As you said, our leadership, and that's not us. Thank you for the clarification. Without further ado, sir.
I move to go into closed session per NC statute 143318.11, for discussion of matters relating to location expansion of the business, and per NC statute 14331811A3 to consult with our attorney to preserve attorney-client privilege.
You've heard the motions go into closed session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We're now in closed session. We'll take 5 minutes to move over to the closed session room. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. We're adjourned. Please drive safely, wear your seatbelts, and no speeding.